The film opens with a farmhouse being displayed. The farmhouse stood shrouded in darkness during the night, illuminated by a brilliant, piercing light. The bright light was simply a mystical being. When morning came, the farmer discovered that his farm had been spoiled by somebody. The farmer woke up to find his farm in disarray and was filled with frustration. The three sons were summoned by the farm owner and were tasked with guarding the farm. Among the sons, John was regarded as lazy by all. However, his older brothers took advantage of his kindness. They asked John to guard the farm alone. John obliged and prepared to guard the farm single-handedly. While keeping watch, John heard an eerie voice. A white horse stood behind him. When he turned around and looked back, John couldn't believe what he was seeing when he saw such a large white horse. He now tries to grab the horse by tying a rope to it. That horse begins to run, but John maintains a firm grip on the ropes. This is why John is being moved with that horse. The horse becomes unbalanced and falls into a swamp as it moves forward. John helps the horse in getting out of the swamp. Meanwhile, John realizes the horse's eyes are filled with tears. John feels terrible and promises that he will never come near this farmhouse again. The horse thanks John and departs. When John returns home, he hears a sound again from his farm. When John goes there to check, he is shocked to see two horses chained there. Before he can understand anything else, a voice tells John that this is a gift for him. When John turns around and looks back, he sees a tiny horse named Foal. In fact, Foal was the son of the horse that John had saved the night before. Foal informs John that my mother is really happy with you. That is why she has sent you a gift. John feels happy after hearing this. John, on the other hand, hears his father's voice. John comes out and tries to keep his father outside, preventing him from entering. Following his father's departure, John sits on Foal. Foal runs quickly, and John is shocked by his speed. Foal whistles as he reaches a point, and two horses come from the stable after hearing his whistle. John thinks he will sell these horses at the market. When John takes these horses to the market, people are shocked by their beauty. No one has ever seen such splendid horses like this. Many people talk about buying these horses from John. Foal also advises John to sell the horses to the older man. John, on the other hand, wants to sell these horses to the king. When the king arrives, he is fascinated with the horses, but his minister believes they are stolen horses. The king takes advantage of this and takes John's two horses without payment. When John talks about the money, he remains silent and leaves. John is scolded by Foal, who says, "I've already told you to sell these horses to that old man." When Foal notices him sad, he whistles again, and the horses come back to him. The king's carriage tips over due to these two horses. They are thrown into the flour sack. King grows ragged, but he can't say anything because of the chamber, and asks John to set money for these horses. John sets high price for the horses, forcing the king's people to advise that he employ John for his work, because if John lived here, the king would take revenge for his insult. John accepts the king's offer and begins working for him. Now the king's assistant advises him to call a phoenix bird by John, which was a firebird and difficult to bring. According to king's assistant, calling the bird is difficult, and John would never be able to do it. Meanwhile, you would condemn him to death. King praises his assistant's idea and tells John about it. John also gets ready. When Foal learns of this, he warns John that it will be dangerous. Whoever did this or went in search of that bird never returned. John did not take a step back because he had accepted the challenge. Foal too wants to assist John, which is why he takes him into the forest. He shows him a dream nut and tells him that these are the Firebird's special nuts, and the bird enjoys them, but these are the nuts that, when eaten, cause the bird to fall asleep quickly. Later on, we swiftly captured the bird and returned it to its natural habitat. Firebirds live underground, according to Foal, and they throw some nuts on the floor. They wait for the bird to come later, and when it smells the nuts, it comes out from the ground. The bird eats the nuts and faints shortly afterward. As John tries to capture the Firebird, it rises to its feet and begins chasing him. As he rushes to catch John and Foal, the entire island catches fire. That Firebird has captured Foal and John throws the last nut places in front of him. When the Firebird eats that nut, he faints. When he wakes up the next morning, he considered himself chained by them. When John sees that Firebird, he sees tears in his eyes, which makes him feel pretty bad for him. As a result, he frees the Firebird. The bird flies away by opening his feathers as he releases. While on his way out, he gives one of his feathers to John, which was glowing from the heat. Foal assures John that the king would not forgive him now. However, John claims that seeing this feather will convince them that they have captured the Firebird. When John goes to the king and king doesn't believe in anything. The next day, John was brought for the death punishment. John displays the feather, but it is no longer shining, and the king orders to kill John. As the king orders his death sentence, the Firebird appears. Everyone is shocked after seeing him, and they all believe in John. As a result, the king must withdraw his death sentence. Additionally, the king gives promotion to John. This rags the king even more, so he asks his minister to devise a new plan. After much thought, the minister suggests that we send John to bring a mountain princess. Firstly, John wouldn't succeed, and if he does, it is still in your favor. You could marry that princess, you have the benefit on both sides. King really likes this idea and sends John on this mission. John finally makes it to the Sar Mountains, where the princess resides. He sees that on the mountain the way of getting into the castle is made up of a thick ice layer. It was quite tough to break that, and in the meantime, a Firebird's feather comes, and the ice wall collapses, causing the remaining ice layer to break. A water flood comes and Foal floats and falls in it afterward. Like a snowball, he drops down from the mountains. When John enters the castle, he notices a large number of girls, all of whom were soundly asleep. It was extremely difficult to identify the true princess among them. However, when a Firebird feather falls near a girl, John recognizes her as the princess. When John sees that girl's beauty, he becomes astonished. He conveys to her that his king has expressed a desire to marry her. On the other hand, the girl claims that if your king is so powerful, he would have come to take me. That girl jumps down from the mountain after saying this. John, too, is unconcerned about his own life and jumps down after the princess. Foal saves them both and carries them down by riding them on his back. After observing John, Foal realizes that he begins to like the princess. Foal realizes that if the king finds out, it will be a problem for him. Princess was listening in on their talk secretly. She, too, thinks she's starting to like John. When they return to the king, everyone is amazed to see such a gorgeous princess. Now that he has seen John alive, King rags, but his followers try to understand him, that this is fruitful for him. Now they're promoting John, but he's not happy about it. He was worried about the princess, so he went to see her secretly. Before he can tell the princess anything, the king's people arrive and take her away. The king proposes the princess. She sets a condition to marry him. If he could bring the ring that belonged to her grandmother to the princess. That ring was lost in the sea. She will not marry until she receives the ring. Following this, King grows anxious, and John arrives. As he stands there, the king shoots him. Foal is asked about the ring by John, but he replies he doesn't know anything about it. Foal tells his mother about it. She informs him that the ring is in the whale's belly that can be found near a small island in the sea. John goes with Foal, but he falls down due to a collapse with several birds around. It's revealed that John has reached the whale. John notices large chains in the sea, as well as a whale trapped in the chains. When John comes out, Foal informs him that the entire island is whale about Foal's mother has informed. John asks of the whale as to who has done this to him. The whale says that I have eaten some ships by accident. That's why the whale had been imprisoned by the other sailors. However, this whale now wants to correct its mistake. John is sad for the whale, and he has a plan. He believes that by helping the whale and sneezing, he will be able to get everything out of him. According to the plan, to go inside the whale's nose and tickle it. In the meantime, the whale sneezes, and all of the ships emerge from his stomach. Later on, the whale returns to the sea. Following the whale's departure, John is reminded of the ring and becomes sad. As a result of the whale's absence, a crab appears with the ring. He tells John that the whale has sent this ring for you because that whale knows about the heart's feelings. They later return to the princess. They inspect the Firebird that the king has tethered to the building. When John gives the princess the ring, she knows that he can do anything for her. On the other hand, the king's man was peering through the microscope at Foal. He feels Foal as a devil when he listens to him speak. They all go there to capture Foal, and the king also wakes up. When he spots him near the princess window, he shoots Foal, and John, despite his best efforts, was unable to save him. On the other hand, the king announces that John has been fired from his job as the princess's kidnapper. After a few days, he will be put to death. Meanwhile, Princess meets Foal and informs him that he has been in difficulty as a result of her idea. She claims that to escape marriage, she has asked the king to shower in 3 different pots. The first pot will be filled with hot water, while the second will be filled with chilled water. The third pot, on the other hand, would have boiled milk. He informs the king that by doing this, they will be young once more. It doesn't seem good to the king. The king's man advises him to perform a test on John first. Princess warns Foal of an idea to avoid this. If they place her grandmother's ring in the first pot, the Firebird's feather is in the second pot, and the life and death flowers are in the third pot. John's life might be saved as a result. Foal asks about these flowers to the princess. She claims that these flowers can only be found in the last corner of the world. This, according to Foal, will take a long time. Princess, on the other hand, claims that due to your speed, this task would be completed quickly. Despite being injured, Foal goes to get the flowers. The pots are prepared the next morning, and the king decides that this is the appropriate time to tell everyone how kind he is. He informs everyone that this process is John's second chance, because if he succeeds in this, John will be released. Later, he pushes John into the pot, and the princess places her ring secretly in the pot as well. Because of the ring, John is able to exit the first section and enter the second. The Firebird, who is watching everything, begins to scream. His voice reaches the enchained feather, which flies in and falls in the pot. John eventually falls into the third and final pot. Princess was anxiously awaiting the arrival of Foal. On the other hand, we see Foal reaching the flower. Before picking the bloom, Foal realizes that whoever does so will die. Regardless, he plucks the blossom. Everyone there believes John is dead, and they begin to leave sadly. Foal appears and throws the flower in the pot. Later, John comes from the pot looking like a prince. The king, after watching this, jumps into the first pot as well. Instead of being young, he is trapped in a bubble and goes from there. Everyone is overjoyed, and they crown John as their new king. John and Princess go out in search of the Foal. Foal thinks he's going to die, but Princess assures him that the flower was simply putting him to the test. At the last scene, we see the marriage of John with Princess, and the movie ends here.